Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. The reason we do what we do. You can find us on channel 182. That's on Charter Communications in Alabama. You'll find us other ways, Abundance Television worldwide. That's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us on the Newscaster Studio. That's where the podcast is. And the biggest country station in South Carolina, WZLA. Continue watching them as well. All the other programs are just absolutely fantastic. You can listen online if you don't live in the area. If you would like to hear good country music like from the olden days, like in my 70s with the Alabama group and all of those folks, it's kind of rock country, but I love it. But that's what they are. And also some of the stuff, even older stuff my grandparents used to listen to as well. But again, thank you so much for watching. I've got my friend Don Brown with me right now. It's always a pleasure to have him with me. And wow, this is kind of a political season. So we're in I call it a war right now. Are you seeing any of that easing down right now?
What was the question again, Donna? Easing what down?
About our war.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Trump is saying we're getting close. At the same time, however, we're continuing to bring more forces into the area. For example, I just saw that England, Great Britain, was going to refuse this guy. Starmer is a piece of work, prime minister over there. He's an atheist, he's pro-Muslim. Wasn't going to let us use their bases. Now we're bringing in B-1s and B-52s into RAF Fairford. It looks like we're going to bring a third carrier battle group into the area, or strike force in the area. So we're actually beefing up the firepower. But the question is whether or not just beefing up the firepower is going to lead to more hits. I think it's going to depend on what happens. You know, this situation with this Khomeini Jr., has succeeded his father. It's not a good situation. He apparently is more hardline than his father. They call him Ali Khomeini on steroids. And so most likely that entire, you're going to have to decapitate that entire corrupt Shia Muslim theocracy. You just have to decapitate. If you leave any of them in place, they'll come right back and do the same thing. Like I was saying in another interview this morning, it is true that we have pretty much decimated their Navy, their Air Force, their missile capability they still have some, but not what they did. But here's the danger, Donna. The danger is from Iran in terms of disrupting the world economy. Isn't necessarily from the big expensive weapons, but rather it's like from mines and drones. I mean, these mines are cheap. They can put a bunch of them in the Straits of Hormuz. We had the USS Samuel B. Roberts that was hit by a mine, I think it was 86, when it was accompanying some tankers through the Straits of Hormuz. And so until this leadership is taken out, the problem isn't fully solved. But the good news is perhaps that you might not need the full brunt of the entire U.S. military to take the leadership out. You might need some special forces or whatever. But I do think that certainly the oil markets, with the price of overnight price of crude coming down from $120 to $85 a barrel, that means if that trend continues, our gas prices will spike that back down in the next couple of weeks. The markets are sensing that it's getting close. The president's words, he's very careful about his words. I don't think he wants to make it last much longer. The question is, how far are they willing to go to get rid of these crazy mullahs and ayatollahs that need to go? That's the real question as far as I'm concerned.
I wanted to ask your opinion about this. If it escalated because of what happened with President Obama several years ago, he sends guns and money over, and is that a good way? I mean, is that something you should do to a country who hates you and they call us infidels and they're ready to kill any American citizen?
I'm convinced that Obama's Muslim. Now, he may be Sunni and not Shia. His first overseas trip in 2009 was to Egypt, where he went to the Egyptian parliament and began to quote the Quran. He grew up largely in Indonesia. No, it's absolutely what he did by turning over billions in cash. It was funding terror, and he's an anti-American. A lot of the problems that we're having here in America today can be traced back to that idiot's election.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy who is half black, half white, the first non-fully Caucasian president we ever had. He could have been a unifying force. He could have used that to try to unify, but instead he and his wife decided to divide. And their activities with regard to Iran, trying to work with them, allowing them to build a nuclear program, was absolutely one of the most dangerous and foolish things you could do. I mean, people will say, "Why does he do that? Why would you arm a potential crazy adversary?"
Yes.
Somebody said, "Well, Russia's got nukes. Why don't you attack nukes?" Well, Russia's not. Russia may have nukes, and so does India, so does Pakistan, so does China, but they are not crazy. They're not so crazy to understand that if they try to use the nukes, they wouldn't be wiped off the face of the earth. The Iranians, the Shia mullahs, these ayatollahs are so crazy that if you gave them a nuke, who could doubt they would actually use one? Who could doubt they would have used a nuke on Israel if they had one to deliver? Of course they would have. Because they believe in the 72 virgin junk, and they believe in their Sharia law junk, and they need to be wiped off the face of the earth. Islam should be wiped out, if you ask me. I mean, it's just something that forces by philosophy capitulation to that particular so-called religion. I don't even call it a religion, or face death. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Okay, if you're with a segment of people who don't mind suicide missions, that's the ultimate. Let's be in a suicide mission to kill ourselves so we can take down a bunch of other, those infidels or Americans,
Right.
But why you would find that is just totally beyond my comprehension. I can't come up with one reason why you would.
No, it is beyond comprehension, which goes back to a point I was making earlier. You give these fools a nuke, and what they will do is beyond logical comprehension. It's not about anything logical. It's about a demented philosophy that they believe in. And that's why it's far, 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 far more dangerous for a state like Iran to have a nuclear weapon than the Russians. The Russians got lots of nukes. They could do a lot of damage. They know we could wipe them off. And so the whole Cold War was built upon the doctrine of what we call mutually assured destruction. And we knew if we nuked them, they'd nuke us, and they knew if they nuked us, we'd nuke them, and they can try to nuke us if they want. We've got submarines out in the water at all the time that can strike at any time. Even if you took the entire continental United States out, we could still wipe them off the face of the earth, and they know that. The Iranians don't fully understand that. They don't care, and that's why it's important they can never acquire a nuclear weapon for sure.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, the number one email I'm getting the past few days is, why aren't we using our own oil? Why are we just letting it sit under a cap? We've got enough. Even if we used it all and supplied half of it to the rest of the world, we would still have enough to last centuries.
Well, it's a great question. And on another interview the other day, I made the very same point. You're worried about spiking oil prices, and let's just continue to open the pipelines here and buy only domestically. We've got enough oil to do it, certainly in the short run. We have more natural gas than any country in the world. Mm-hmm. And, the gasoline prices have spiked. Of course, and we're still getting oil shipped from over there. But when Trump was in the first time, we became an oil exporter rather than an importer. In other words, overall, we were exporting. Biden comes in, he shuts down the pipelines, and gas supply spike, and we become an importer again. I'm not sure where we are on that Rubicon at this point, but the goal is to again become an oil exporter, so that people are buying from us. That's the entire idea. And you're right on mark there. We have to continue to push that, even if it means continuing to deregulate, so we can open up more oil fields all around the country.
And it's not just oil fields. I'm talking other things. You talked about it when you were on the campaign run about North Carolina. For goodness sake, it should be a fish capital of the world.
All right, yeah. We've got natural resources here that don't rival anything. Yeah. We had a situation that they're trying to shut down the North Carolina commercial fishing shrimping industry, and of course that's on hold for the time being, it looks like. But like 3 months later, several tons of shrimp were shipped in from Indonesia. They got on the shelves at Walmart that turned out to be radioactive, if you can believe that. So why in the world would you even be bringing in foreign shrimp when you've got plenty of food security is national security? Some of the things we're doing is crazy. And allowing big Chinese-owned conglomerates to own agricultural land in the United States is crazy off the charts and needs to come to an end.
You know something? There's a place in Alabama, and it's called the Black Belt. And it really has nothing to do with the population there. The reason it's called the Black Belt is because it's like some of the most fertile farmland you'll ever see on God's earth. Yep. I mean, it's a really great place. And they also have a huge fish industry, But you know something? Their Democrat leader there has stopped all of that. She does not want that area, that particular area, for some reason to be profitable. I don't understand that. So you would rather get radiation and whatever into instead of, and by the way, Don, this is like it's like a third world country there. The people there are so poor because they're not getting it. They're held in slavery. They keep voting this Democrat woman, right. Sewell is her last name. They keep voting her in every single time. And she's living high on the hog. I'm just telling you. But right. The citizens there are poor.
That's the way it is.
It's just terrible.
The way it is in totalitarian systems, it's the way it is in the former Soviet Union. You have a very small number who are extremely rich, and everybody else is poor, struggles. And we got to find a way to save American farmland and save American farms. That's a national security question to me. And you'll have politicians who are okay with, taking money from developers because they'd rather see farmland turned into, cookie cutter communities with cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
And then how are we going to feed our people? This is a national security question. We've got to really get serious about protecting American agriculture.
Well, I would like for President Trump to put a lot more emphasis on agriculture. Okay, yep. Because agriculture could be key, and it could be king in that particular part of Alabama. Again, the most fertile. I would love to have their right. fertile land. I mean, they could grow anything on it, but they don't have the means or the education in which to do that. To me, if people are elected to govern a particular area, that needs to be number one. You need to take
right.
care of those citizens first.
That's exactly right. Food security is national security, and it needs to be grown at home. We've got the ability to do it, and that's got to be something that's the very top of our overall strategic planning going forward. We can't neglect agriculture or fish production or any of that, or whether it's hog production or cattle production or livestock. We got to reemphasize that. And those industries need to be fortified and strengthened, and they need to grow, not shrink, because the more that our food production shrinks, the more it affects us both short term and especially long term.
Well,
in a negative way.
I've been living in Alabama a long time and moved here, and I'm seeing different in attitude. But what I'm seeing is small farms being bought up. Right. And it's another thing. All you have to do is open your eyes just to look. There's an area called Highway 75, and it's still just 2-lane. I mean, it's out in the country, but it's a main thorough. I mean, you take that road everywhere you go. And so what I've noticed before we moved, you would see like this massive gate. I'm talking like something you would see in Hollywood, mansions or whatever, but a mobile home in it. And I'm not putting down mobile homes. There's some nice mobile homes. What I'm saying is that's something like Nancy Pelosi would live in a gated area like that. But it's gated with a mobile home. You have to wonder.
Some real head scratchers out there. Some real head scratchers.
Let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. But that does not make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you again so much for watching. Beginning 2 p.m., and that's on the Eastern time zone, so I get right home with you in the afternoon. You guys are sending all kinds of email, and Don, you've answered a whole lot of them, and in a common sense way. Absolutely. So let's talk about the legal system. A lot of things that are happening, and especially the incident that happened in Charlotte. There are people who are actually on the side of the thug who killed this lady. It just, I mean, I can't comprehend that.
Well, yeah, but because your efforts to comprehend are from an America first,
Yeah,
South Carolina first, you put your state and your nation first, prism. You would think that decisions would be made from that prism, but not anymore. I mean, when you look at this girl Arena that was killed here in Charlotte, the guy that killed her had been out released like 12 times, and possibly even released by the former Democrat governor Roy Cooper, who released 3,500 criminals from prison during COVID, using the COVID scam as an excuse to put criminals back on the street. So I've said many times, the enemy that we're facing now is English speaking. We're dealing with English speaking socialists and communists right within our system. And what communists want to do is they want to destabilize, to create a situation that's so unstable as possible that people will become desperate for answers, and they swoop in with big government solutions and take power. So it's all part of a destabilization process that they want. They want to destabilize law enforcement. They don't want to back the blue. It has been Democrats that have been behind the defund the police efforts. And even when you go back up to see what happened in Minnesota with these two people that were shot, and both of them were, first one, the woman hit the accelerator with an ice agent in front of her, and on the second one, this nurse, Pocahontas comes out with a speech. Oh, here he was so peaceful, blah 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 blah, such a gentle soul. And then there emerges video of the guy kicking in the back tail light of an ICE Suburban. I mean, they were both agitators, and the left supports that sort of thing. They want chaos. That's what we're fighting. We're fighting against English-speaking communists on the other side who want chaos and destabilizing good order within society, and destabilizing law and order, and destabilizing police forces and sheriff's departments and others and ICE is part of their plan. And so we just have to understand that's exactly what they're trying to do. This is what the Bolsheviks did years ago, to create social upheaval. They want as much social upheaval as possible so they can come in with totalitarian solutions. In other words, they set the fire and then try to put the fire out and make people ignore the fact they set it, and they're not really putting it out to begin with. When they come in with these solutions, they're actually making it a lot worse.
absolutely. Okay, I've been dying to ask you your opinion on the State of the Union address.
I don't think I've ever seen a better one, and I think it's interesting because the one poignant question: if you believe that American citizens should be taken care of over others, stand up. And the Democrats simply sit there. And that's the one that stood out the most. But they sat when the president honored Arena's mother. They sat for a little kid. It just exposed them for who they really are. And it's interesting because I saw some polling. Steve Gruber, who's interviewed me on RAV, is a good guy like you. He's expressed concern, for example, that the spike in gas prices might hurt Republicans, and they might, but I think they're going to come down. We're still several months away from the election, but right now I saw an NBC poll showing that Trump is running ahead of both Kamala and Gavin Newsom in the polls even now, and that ICE is more popular than the Democrat Party. That is in NBC polls. So they continue to do these things that just give us sound bites to use to run against them. The issue here, Donna, is getting conservatives out to vote, because they are not in the mainstream. They're trying to push their radicalism to the mainstream, but most people still absolutely hate that sort of thing. And I'll give John Fetterman credit. At least he's one Democrat senator who from time to time is speaking some common sense, and who would have thought that 3 or 4 years ago? But other than that, they're all a bunch of nutcases.
Yeah, I can't believe Fetterman. I mean, he even walked up to Trump and said, "Good speech."
Well, yeah, of course he did. And I think Fetterman is one of those few Democrats that still wants to put the country first. Most do not. Most want to put the perpetuation of power ahead of everything else. I think Fetterman's got a little bit of old school in him, and it's nice to see. I wish we could see more of that.
You know what? I hope Kamala does run. I've been missing making fun of her. It's
Yeah.
the show's is fun. I mean, I had a good time with that. And I mean, I had her kind of pinned down. Of course, anybody could pin that woman down, but she literally thinks that she could be elected as president of the United
Well,
States.
they are delusional. I've seen a lot of these delusional politicians, and she certainly is one of them. Now, of course, I heard she may be thinking about running for governor of California. I guess that's not happening now. She hasn't thrown her hat into the ring. Others have. But looks like she's trying to get out there and stay active and trying to make another run at it. So it'll be kind of fun to watch. Maybe she and Governor Hairspray will kind of get into a cat fight before it's over with. But both of them are a couple of nutcases, and it is encouraging to see Trump's popularity leading those two clowns even now. At a time when we're facing the midterms coming up here just in a few months.
I've got an idea. So when Kamala does put her name in, and she will, she's really delusional. She thinks she can win. Okay, so when she does, why don't we just you and I have a show called the Donna and Donna Show?
I think so.
Maybe let's just one show a month. So I know you're busy being an attorney and all those things, but I think it would be fun. And I could act like her. I mean, I could, anytime I want to be stupid, then I can act like her.
Well, I kind of miss her too, to tell you the truth. I mean, she will give us at least 2 full, solid years of comedy and word salads and contradictions and dumb ideas. And it'll be a lot of fun, to tell you the truth. So I'm kind of pulling for her to do it too. I think we ought to do it for sure, Donna. I'm all game.
I'm in it. I promise it'll sell ads like crazy. We'll both pitch off of it. I mean, it'll be a good segment. It most certainly will. But the State of the Union to me was pretty remarkable. But I wanted to mention Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, and I was against this. Okay, so when Joe Biden was president, she's holding signs, making stupid remarks, and all those kind of, to me, that wasn't how you act. But the way people acted with this, it was mind-boggling. Okay, if you are a Democrat in any way, you need to take a look at that. Okay, and again, like you said, they are not putting America first. We're putting way at the back of the line as far as they're concerned. But if you can't have enough social grace about yourself to at least stand up when a thug has murdered someone and you're talking about how the thug has murdered them, or you have people who are that are doing great things like, our Olympic team and all those things, and you can't stand up for that, what is wrong with you?
Well, it goes back to a point I made earlier. They continue to give us sound bites and free video clips for commercials coming into the midterms. It's just crazy. They ought to just stand up and take that off the table, but they don't. And they portray themselves as anti-American. And so it's just one dingbatted gesture after another. The question is, are we going to have, are Republicans going to be sufficiently motivated to come out and vote against them or not? That's really the question. Without a strong leader like Trump at the top of the ticket on a midterm, it's going to be a challenging push for sure. But it's just one soundbite after another to use against them for sure, and it certainly makes their path a little more difficult. And at the end of the day, I think gas prices are going to come down. I think prices will continue to drop. And while they're trying to make it about the economy, they're not going to have a lot to go with on the economy. Sure, there are areas where we got to improve on, but it's certainly nothing like it was when the Democrats were in control. People remember that all too well. Gasoline spiking at $5 a gallon or more, and it's not going to be the same, I don't think. I think we're going to have to wait. I think in 90 days from now, we'll have a better clue of how it's looking for the midterms. But they continue to suffer from foot and mouth disease, and it's kind of funny to watch sometimes.
It is. I'll tell you somebody I'd vote for in 2 seconds, and that would be Louisiana's John Kennedy. I like that guy. I'm just telling you.
He's really the most entertaining figure that we've had not just in the Senate, but the entire Congress for a long, long time. You can sell tickets. You can sell comedy tickets to watch that guy. He is really, really funny to watch. Would love to be able to serve with him one day.
Oh, he is so funny to watch. And when he talks to people and tells them exactly how stupid they are, like women not being on the team of women, you know, and he'll just, and this is what he does. He'll pause a little, you know, like a Southern guy would do. So he'll pause just a little bit and he'll do that number. And then he'll just kind of look at these people like, are you crazy? I mean, and then it's like, okay, game on. I'm going to play games with you. And so he does it, and he does it in such a way. I'm dying laughing. Sometimes on YouTube, we'll just look at those videos just of him.
Yeah. If you get bored one night, just pull up the John Kennedy clips on YouTube, and your boredom will go away real quick.
Absolutely. Okay. Who do you think would be a front runner? Trump can't run again. So who are you looking at right now?
Well, of course, you know, you got JD out there. I think Rubio has really surprised a lot of people, and I think if all were even, you put JD against Rubio. Rubio's speech over there to Europe was off the charts. Mm-hmm. He's been probably the best Secretary of State that I can think of in many years, mm-hmm. and I would say those are two names that come to the forefront. There's been some talk about Ted Cruz possibly jumping back in. That's a third name that you could see surface. So beyond that, you know, I don't expect, there's not any other cabinet members off the top of my head. Pete won't do it. Pete is could be on a ticket maybe in the number 2 position, but I'm thinking right now you're looking at Rubio and Vance. Even though Rubio says he won't run against Vance, I think you're looking at those two. And Rubio's been around longer than Vance. Remember, Vance was just a one-term senator. He hadn't even finished his first term in the Senate when Trump picked him up. Now he's the vice president. He should be a first-term senator still. Rubio's got a lot more experience. So, and he's from Florida. So I'd say those two, Rubio, Vance, maybe Cruz. Are you thinking of anybody else that's on your radar there? That's a possibility?
But I'm thinking of them on the same ticket. Rubio,
yeah.
JD, right.
So that could be entirely possible. You know, so it could be entirely possible. But nobody really jumps to me right now. But you never know. We still have a little bit of time.
Well, I would love to see a woman as president of the United States, but I can't see one. Most certainly was not Hillary Clinton and not Kamala Harris. But I was like, well, I would love to see a woman on the ticket, but not them.
No, if we had an American Maggie Thatcher, we would be in good shape. We don't have an American Maggie Thatcher that I'm aware of, mm-hmm. And I really don't think the women in the Senate or the Congress. I don't think there's not one that really stands out at me as immediate presidential timber, without disrespect to them. I don't see anybody at the moment. Got nothing to do with the fact whether they're a woman. I don't see many people that do stand out. In fact, the only names that are standing out to me right now are Rubio and Vance. Those are the two that are standing out.
Those are the two. We could always get Mama Ivy to run with him. You know,
yeah. There you go.
Not that. Okay, a minute left in this segment. What do you want to tell everybody before you go? And how can folks find your works?
Well, you can go to Don Brown Books, and our works are there. And we're going to be taking a little bit of time and evaluating what we're going to be doing here over the next few months. And we probably are going to go on a speaking tour in the not too distant future to talk about some of the things we've been discussing, like the weaponization of the court system, these weaponized prosecutors, and a number of other topics that are related to that. So I may write another book. I've got a couple of ideas on the top of my head. We have 16 out, though. I want everybody to read all 16 of those before I write another one, and then we can y'all can catch up with me. We'll go from there.
Any movies out in the opening right now? You thinking?
Well, we are there. There's a possibility. We know there have been some discussions about an update to the Extortion 17 movie, Fallen Angel, because we've got some additional information in since that movie came out. So we've been talking about that. We'll see how it goes. Nothing in the immediate making. But I'm going to have plenty to do. I can assure you of that. We've got quite a bit to do today. After we're finished, I have another interview this afternoon at 3 with One America News with their Pentagon correspondent, and I've got some legal work to do between now and then. So I will not be twiddling my thumbs. I can assure you of that, Donna.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching us. And I know it's because of that guy. I know it's because of the Don and Donna show. But anyway, thank you again so much for watching. Continue sending emails. I love them. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you for watching. See you next time.